sometime last year, a very good friend of mine asked me to meet her Swamiji. And I went to meet him, and we spent the day together. He likes to cook and things like that. And then he asked me to go and have a darshan with him. And when I had that darshan, he said two things to me. And the second one, he said, "Oh, you're going to burn all your karma in this lifetime."
Mm-hmm.
So that set me wondering, because I'm not sure how much lifetime I have left. And then I had already been here once, and then I had 3 more times in this process. And the first time I came, I hated all the kriyas. And the second time I just felt very frustrated.
Mm-hmm.
And then the third time in Mallorca, I thought, well, actually they're okay. Yeah? Not that I'm expressing them. Yeah? And then this time, then I came to love them.
Mm-hmm.
I so love the kriyas, although I do not express the kriyas. Well, what has happened is that as I expand in the meditation, then all the kriyas become my kriyas.
Mm-hmm.
And then all the kriyas are everyone's kriyas.
Mm-hmm.
And then I began to feel very tender about the kriyas, because they're being released after they have been captured for maybe eons of time, all these impressions that have been brought in. And so not only did I feel tender about the souls who have these stumbling blocks, we all have the stumbling blocks that we are releasing, I also felt very tender and compassionate towards all these jinns and elementals and things that have been captured for who knows how long. They've been released. And then I wondered, well, okay, we don't really start thinking about them, where are they going to go? And so then I started thinking, well, they must go back to maybe the astral realm, something like that. And then, of course, it will be whether they will be captured by souls coming in. This is like a bit of a kind of Sufi way of describing it. Whether they will be captured as impressions by souls coming in, or maybe some, maybe being released, will be able to go back out towards the one. Yes, so that was kind of an understanding I had of it, and I don't know how limited or erroneous that is, and I would be grateful for a commentary.
Well, beautifully put together, and some of it just we can use in our spokes, like PR campaigns. The part about that progression from hate to love is good. So thank you for that. And indeed, it's a correct, proper understanding that this is not my kriyas versus his kriyas. And there's a correct, helpful understanding for all of us that we don't know how consciousness will decide to release what needs to be released. We're simply showing up. We're here, and this process is orchestrated. It's not as chaotic as some may think of it. Yes, it has this element, undeniable element of unpredictability, for which this particular path was always viewed with suspicion in some circles. It will always be viewed with due kind of, because it's volatile. But we know also that in the birthing processes, or all birthing processes are volatile. And the path, this particular path, where the force of Shakti is being utilized, they are known for that. Because in order for new consciousness to be born, some aspects are being sacrificed. So this is in fact an offering in the making, an alchemical process, where certain ingredients are giving birth to that what is need to be recaptured. But I offer you also an additional understanding, and for all of us, so that it's clearer. This process is that of that which can be called of repossession. It's a process of repossession, because the process of possession, samavesha, as it is known in Sanskrit, where one is willingly give oneself to the goddess, where the goddess takes over. Before anyone just kind of get lost to this, let me just make an adjustment here, and as a footnote, every creative being, and all of you are creative beings without exception, but those who made a living out of creativity know that in order for a work of art to come into being, a song, a poem, you need to give yourself to something that is bigger than you. It cannot be born out of a sum total of learned skills. Will not do. It will masquerade as a work of art. But we know that not to be true. We know also that there is this aesthetic discernment, and it is refined and can be refined further and further when we are in the presence of an authentic work of art. Why? Because something makes us to recognize ourselves in that work of art. The portion of our divinity is reflected back, and that can only be achieved when there is this so-called flow state take over. This is in relation to every process, and every artist or people who have this artistic approach to life know that in order for the creativity to take over, that what takes over needed to be given into. In other words, one cannot have one's way with the muse. It's very well known among the poets. One gives oneself to the muse, not the other way around. Come on, dear, let's do something together. I'm ready to type. Sit behind me. Slow down. No. The muse usually grabs you by the throat. It's like it completely arrests you in your tracks. This is my experience. And there are times when the muse doesn't come in, doesn't show up. You prepare everything. Everything is tidy, laid out for that creative process. All these canvases are stashed, primed and grounded. All these brushes, everything top-notch, best quality. And you warm yourself up, you do your thing there, right? And you do your drawings, you do your dance, you do your thing, just like you do the meditation, just waiting for the muse. And any kind of like ruffling, shuffling. Okay. Finally knock on the door, you rush down in sweats. You slam the door open, it's a postman. And suddenly you realize that muse never uses the door. She never did. She descends down, walks through the wall, through chimney, whatever, untouched by the soot, and lays her rules down there. And all this, what beautifully was laid out here, is now flying in the air, yourself including. That's what it means, always has been. Whatever we call the greatness of the human spirit, whatever we have ever called genius, is a working of the goddess. This is the tantric understanding. And this work is that, a willing, conscious offering oneself into the goddess. And this is awakening of the goddess. And this is why and how this work is facilitated. So this kriyas is at once, as I said, at the very first day, cannot be seen just from clinical perspective of a stress release, because we don't know where the line between the release of stress and accumulated impurities and accumulated impositions and a full expression of the goddess. And she has many different faces. She has many different moods and modes of being. Some of them are far from the angelic looking, Alleluia stuff. Some of them are raw. Certainly some of them are tenderer than the tender. So this is If you are to explain this work to anyone, this is now to all of us, you will find yourself lost at words. Guarantee, this is the stuff of already how to explain this work to others. But this is one and the only true explanation. That's what it means. It's this repossession. Why I call it repossession? It's called being possessed by the goddess. It's offering oneself and being taken over. Just like a work of art is the result of being taken over by the creative process, these impulses of creative intelligence are archetypal energies behind our personalities. Figment of that being surfaced of that energy is an outburst of new ideas, outburst of new incentives, new works of art, new beauty. Novelty of existence rests on that. But in a spiritual work, that's what it is. Because otherwise, it's a reverse perspective. We are possessed by what is not. And this is an act of repossession. So this is an act of offering, just like Rumi exclaimed, out of compassion, this existence was given to you. Out of compassion, give it back.
Can I just ask one more, going on from that? That is, 30 years ago, I had a very, very powerful Kundalini experience. There were many Kriyas then. I was out of control, actually, and had all the wonderful Kundalini experiences that one has. So is there a suggestion then that in those 30 years, some kind of holding on has developed? Because now I am not, it seems, open to vocal or physical expression of Kriyas? Or is it just the way it is and that's fine?
It's more the former, but also has a bit of the later. In other words, you see that the work still continues, and the awakening can take place anytime. It can be very long time ago, and it doesn't mean that these years were somehow, or during these years you were pulled back. But it is in the nature of that process itself, because for most of us it's a lifetime, if not lifetimes process. So the fact that you're here, and the interesting fact is even more that though you did not enjoy this, you kept coming back. That is a very telling fact. You see? Because very often when people don't like something, they don't go there. But something kept bringing you back. Something kept bringing you back, because between the hate and love, there are intermediate stages. And none of them sound that appealing. Let's face it. And I wasn't that Swami who asked you to come and I'll give you darshan. I never ask anyone for darshan. I come from the tradition where it's the other way around. Put something out there, you want to come, come. But just so that you simply see this as it is. This is not a straightforward journey. It's not like consciousness rising through some kind of physical container. It's the lifetime journey. When we speak of Sushumna, we're speaking of millions of years of evolution. If you have read Autobiography of a Yogi by Paramahamsa Yogananda, remember how he spoke about that? Remember the line when he said that Shakti travels in Sushumna with the speed of light. Wow. How can that be comprehended? Because we think that Sushumna is inside the spine and this is written in books, but that's not the picture. Because that's not how it is. But we speak of it as if that's how it is, because the only reference point we have, a shared consensus is this body. So therefore we always speak about consciousness through this understanding. And it's for the most limitation, but we do not have another point of reference. Therefore, we have to. So if you see that, then it's like in the Guardian of Galaxies, you know? You are saving the world while simply going from hate to love, you know? In that transition, in that transformation, in that progression, that further refinement begins to happen. And it's not that everyone needs to go through this or that set of kriyas. Something already been released through the system. Something has been released. Now the process perhaps have to happen on a very subtle level, at a different level. And that's where it's already happening, and you know it. So this is my confirmation.
Thank you.
It's all good, in short. There's no need to somehow feel that if it's not happening in the same way, that means you are not involved, or that somehow something is not working. Not at all. Contrary to that, what you have said is a direct indication that is alive, there, and working. But how it does, the ways of that work is mysterious and cannot be just, again, measured by the same etalon, by the same kind of measure. So know that. And do not doubt that. Do not doubt your own process. Full stop.
Thank you.